So today is a very exciting day because today is launch day of Cashmerette's second book, Sewing the Curve. So hello and welcome back to Ashley Main Makes. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new book, talking about who it is for, how it compares to their first book, and of course the 5 patterns that are included in the book. So, full disclosure, I was sent this book as an advanced copy from Quadrille Books. So a big thank you to them. I really felt like a real YouTuber. All the thoughts are my own. They aren't paying me to make this book, although I am a Cashmerette super fan, so bear that in mind. But with all that being said, let's get into it. So, who is this book for? Now, this book is primarily aimed at beginner sewists. So that would be anyone from someone who's never sewn a stitch in their life, hasn't even bought a machine yet, to someone who's, say, coming from something like quilting that wants to try garment sewing, all the way to about a confident beginner intermediate. Although I think a lot of more advanced sewists would also get some value out of this book as more of a reference guide. This book does operate on a couple of different wavelengths. So the first way you could use this book is as an intro to sewing course. So you could very much pick one of the patterns in this book and work through it with all the separate technique guides at the beginning of the book, end up with a garment and work through it that way. So for $42 US, I think that's a really good deal. The other way you could use this book is more as a reference guide, which is probably more what I will do with it. I'd say it sort of operates on a similar wavelength to something like one of those old Reader's Digest guides or Singer guides, but in a more modern way, with better language. The other thing it includes is something really exciting. So a lot of the techniques in this book will include this little video symbol. Basically, that little video symbol means there's a video tutorial from Cashmerette accompanying it. So I think you could get a lot of value out of it that way, in that you can both read the instructions, look at the diagrams, and watch a video. Even me, I think I will probably reference it, say next time I have to put in an invisible zip, maybe go reference the book, watch Cashmerette's video, and look at what I'm doing with my life maybe. So there's that. But the other truly exciting thing about this book, and something that I think is the best part about it, is that it is specifically aimed at people that are plus size. So this book is only available in Cashmerette's original range, so that's from sizes 12 to 32. That is a bust 40 to 62 and a hip 42 to 62 as well. And it has Cashmerette's cup sizing as well. This book is kind of amazing and groundbreaking in a lot of ways in that aspect, because I know when I was first learning how to sew, not only was I trying to learn how to sew, but I also had to learn how to grade and adjust patterns at the same time, unfortunately, because there wasn't a lot of stuff in my size. And it was honestly really disheartening. I had a lot of fails to start with. It took a long time until I got some projects that I was really proud of that actually looked like real garments. So I think this will give people a real leg up. It levels the playing field in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of beginner sewing books out there, but none of them are plus size as far as I'm aware. It will give them a place to start that's more encouraging. That is the part that I am most excited about. If I had a beginner sewist in my life, or someone who is interested in learning about sewing but was plus size, I would definitely consider giving them this book. That sounds a lot like a conclusion, but you know, even just on the basis of having something that fits them out of the gate and having neutral language, I think all of that's really important. Before I get too sappy, let's kind of go through the meat and potatoes of what's included in this book. There is a lot of really basic information. So there's a lot of things about setting up your sewing space. So how to pick a machine, how to pick fabric, what is, say, a knit fabric versus a woven, how bias works, you know, a lot of those basic things that honestly myself I might gloss over a lot in my videos. note for myself, I will make sure I talk a little bit more about. But the other thing that I was really excited about in terms of like the plus size aspect of it is it does include a whole guide on how to measure yourself. So it includes things like how to measure yourself standing and sitting, and how that relates to the ease of your garment and how that's important, because I think, again, that is something that is a lot more critical for a person in a plus size body, and it's something that I try and talk about a lot, but I think this is a lot more clear than maybe I've been in the past about that. There's another couple modern touches in this book as well, like how to print a PDF pattern, how to make sure that your layers are all set up and all that kind of stuff. So again, some modern things that an old Reader's Digest guide isn't going to give you. Oh yes, and different ways of finishing. So that's another thing that a lot of patterns don't include. Again, setting you up for success in a lot of ways, or you're like, I would like to use this finish. You could go and reference this book, have a look at it, do your seam finish. I know I'm saying a lot of things right now, but I think that to me is almost more valuable than the patterns. I know the main selling feature of this book is the patterns, but I actually think the beginning kind of quote unquote boring stuff, the dry stuff in this book is really well written, actually has a lot of value. All right, so how does this book differ from Cashmerette's previous book, Ahead of the Curve? So this book is aimed towards total beginners. So that means it's only going to include like basic adjustments, enough to get you through kind of these generally fitting patterns. So it includes how to lengthen and shorten garments and how to grade in between sizes, which is something we get a lot of questions about. So I see that. It's a lot less overwhelming. This book is all about adjustments. So this book is about fitting patterns to your particular body. So this includes things like how to do a full bust adjustment on princess seams, or how to do a flat butt adjustment, or how to do a full belly adjustment. How to make a pattern work for your specific body. So a little bit of a different goal, and I'd say this is probably a little bit overwhelming to this person. So I think in a lot of ways it's really good that they split it up, but basically the gist of it is this is book one, this is book two. I think it's helpful to have both. Me, probably at this stage in the game, I'll probably be referencing this book a little bit more. But honestly, this is really useful to have on hand, either when I'm talking to other people about sewing or just doing techniques that I don't do every day. Like I say, the next time I go to do an invisible zipper, I'll be cracking this guy out. So again, they sort of serve different purposes, and I think you can definitely have both books, because there is basically very little overlapping information between the two. The other difference between the books is form factor. So this new Ahead of the Curve, or which book do I have in my hand? This book, Sewing the Curve, is a bit of an upgrade from Ahead of the Curve. There's definitely been an upgrade in packaging, and I definitely appreciate that. So I love this formatting. If this book comes out in this formatting, I might almost rebuy it. So that's definitely a thing too. They both include the patterns at the back in the same way. So very similar in terms of that. But again, basically no overlapping information between the two books, which honestly, like, seems like that would be hard, but it's actually not that hard given how much information there is on plus size sewing out in the world. So let's talk about the piece of the book that everyone gets really excited about, which is the patterns. Now, there are 5 patterns in this book. There is a dress, a skirt, kind of a t-shirt, a pair of pants, a jacket, and a dress. So really a lot of different garments here. I think if you're starting out for the first time, make whichever one you feel drawn to and attracted to. The more excited you are, the better it is. And I think any of these would make for a good first project. So the first one in the book is the Montvale Dress and Tunic. So this is a swing style dress, basically like a tent dress, if you would call it that. So there's either a sleeveless kind of swing dress or a grown on sleeve tunic. You could also make a grown on sleeve dress. So it's nice to see them actually have a couple of options in this book. That is something they didn't do in the last book. So it's nice to see a couple of options. For anyone interested in retro, I think this is a really nice option because this could easily go into a vintage direction. I know Serena just made one that's really similar to this, and I think this is very hackable. You could make almost all your different Mary Quant style dresses, so I see a lot of possibilities for like hacking and doing your own pattern adjustments, which I think is kind of fun in a book like this because like once you make one, you could definitely make a few more. You could change the neckline, you know, and really start having some fun and experimenting. And again, you could either belt it or not, or have it like a little bit shorter, a little bit more mod. So very cute. I think I will probably make this one at some point. I do kind of want to remake like Serena's version, so I'll probably do that. Again, a lot of fun. I think it's a great first project, and like normally in a book it would probably be a bit of a challenge because you'd need to do a full bust adjustment, but this is Cashmerette, so we don't need to do that. So again, great first project, has a lot of skills in there. You're gonna learn how to sew a dart, you're gonna learn to sew up side seams, you're gonna learn how to do a neckline, all that kind of stuff. The next one is the Randolph Skirt, and this one is my favorite. I absolutely love this. I think this would be brilliant on more of an apple shape. It's like an asymmetric wrap skirt with a big tie on the side. It purposely like kind of crosses like below the waist. So I really love the style of this. And funnily enough, this is actually something that I had tried to make early on in my sewing and I found it. So I had tried to make one of these at one point. Was it Deer and Doe? Someone like that had an asymmetrical wrap skirt, and it didn't come in my size, so I had made this kind of simplicity pattern instead, and I used this like very horrid, I mean it's kind of beautiful, but it would have been better as a coat. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. I like bound it and everything, so I was like really trying. I was really like going for something here. But yeah, basically I tried to make this as a beginning sewist, and there's like not finished bits in here that are like shredding. So this is something I've always wanted, clearly. But anyway, I thought I would share it with you because I still had it kicking around and I found it the other day. But this is a style I've loved for a really long time, and I think it's a great beginner project. Again, the fact that it's in plus size already and I don't have to mess with it. And I love having projects kicking around that are easy because it really gets my juices flowing. One of my kind of like ways that I like to work is to do like one harder project and then one simpler project to kind of break it up. Getting a win in there is always really nice, even when you've been sewing for a while. And I find that way it keeps me engaged with sewing. So it is something I like to do. I think the other thing is, I think people underestimate like a simple thing done well. Very excited for this skirt. I have to find some fabric. I haven't decided like quite what fabric I want it to be. They're showing it in a plaid here, which maybe. But again, and it could be beautiful for like, you know, if you've got a Christmas party coming up, or, you know, you wanted to wear it to the office, something like that. It's definitely dressy enough that you could get away with it. No rambling on about wrap skirts. So the third pattern is called the Eustis top. So this is essentially a t-shirt pattern, but is a little bit dressed up. So again, comes with a couple of views. It's got a puff sleeve, kind of a trendier bishop sleeve, puff sleeve piece. And then it's also got a regular like straight sleeve that you could have either short or long. So kind of everything you could want in a t-shirt pattern in one place. Also, Cashmerette's knits are like points. Like, I don't really make any knits other than Cashmerette knits because of the cup sizing and just the general fit of them. So to have a well-fitting Cashmerette t-shirt in the book is really great. And again, the couple of different views. Also, the hackability, you could definitely, if you love this, you could make a few different versions, which is great. You could also put some different necklines on here. So really good. You wear that with your skirt, you rock out. Fourth is the Ardley, am I saying that correctly? Ardley pants. So these are sort of your basic PJ pant. We have a couple of views with and without pockets, basically is the views, but they have a slash pocket, which is really nice. It's my favorite type of pocket, so you get to learn how to make my favorite type of pocket. Yeah, and I kind of like how they're showing them. They're showing them either like as like kind of a sweatpant, or they're showing them in like more of a drapier fabric. So between this and the t-shirt, you could make yourself a nice little pajama set for Christmas. Adorable. It's like basics with niceness. Like we've got that slash pocket in there. It's Cashmerette sizing. It's all great. The next pattern, also really exciting, is the Fairfax Jacket. Now, here is for the quilters coming over. We're gonna take you to the dark side, and I want to just like bring you all in. I was just at the quilt show, probably gonna do a video on, but I want to bring you all over to the dark side, and this jacket is how we're going to do it. So this jacket is a quilted jacket with bias binding. So again, a couple of different skills. You can either use pre-quilted fabric, or you can quilt your own. So again, if you're a quilter, very exciting. And then all those work on bias binding, going around corners. You could either do the pockets or not if you're feeling a little bit intimidated. So there's ways you can up the skills or bring down the skills depending on where you're at on this pattern. So I think that's really great. It's also fun to see a piece of outerwear. That's also really cool. I don't know if this is necessarily like my personal style jam. You know, I think I could see making one of these for my mom. You know, you could even make these out of a fleece, I think would be cool. I think there's lots of options here. I can already like feel my brain turning, which again is what, you know, the more excited you are and the more you feel inspired, the more you're going to be able to get into sewing, which I'm always excited about. So the last pattern, last but not least, is the Elmley Dress. Now this one is again very exciting. I feel like this has been a highly requested Cashmerette pattern. So this is a shift dress. So it is either a sleeveless shift dress or a shift dress with a flutter sleeve. So two very nice options. Again, quite dressy. You could have it lined or unlined. There's a lot of skills in here. Like you've got your bust darts, you've got some fisheye darts, which I got a lot of questions about in the walkaway dress video. So this has more on how to fit those in here. Yeah, so very dressy, very nice. Definitely an advanced project and a pattern people have been requesting for a long time from Cashmerette. Love to see team sleeves and no sleeves represented. I know that's like anyone comes out with a pattern. There's always like team sleeve, teams no sleeve. I'm usually firmly on team sleeve, but you know, to each their own. And I think it's really, I don't know, it is really slick without the sleeves, I gotta say. Between that and the skirt, you know, you could really be on your way to having a really nice work wardrobe. Overall, I'm really happy with the patterns in this book. I think it gives you a lot of options, and they're exciting enough that I think people will be encouraged to actually make them. It has to be exciting enough for you to stick through it to actually make the thing. So I think these patterns do a really good job of that. And I think if you're just getting started, you could like pick whichever one intrigues you the most and get started. And that's really exciting. And you could make a lot of different options, a couple different variations, and really start to learn about sewing. So I love to see that. If I had one nitpick about this entire book, it would be the seam allowances. All the patterns in here only come in a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I don't know if that's a UK thing, but it was the same issue in the other book. I would really like to see a 5/8 inch seam allowance just because that's the standard, and that's kind of the standard of what you need to get used to. So it's good to have people, when they're learning, be able to visualize what a 5/8 seam allowance looks like. Also gives you more room for adjustments and seam finishes and that sort of thing. So if that's my only nitpick about the entire book, that's really truly not bad. Do I think this book is worth it? 100%. If I had someone who was plus size and learning how to sew, or was just getting into sewing, I would definitely gift them this book. I think it avoids a lot of the issues and heartache that I had when I first started learning how to sew. So I'm so happy to see something like this coming to market. I hope it means that a lot more people will be coming and joining our little community and really enjoy sewing. Let me know if you'd like to see me make any particular pattern from the book. I definitely love that Elmley skirt. I might have to make it anyway. We do have a very Cashmerette filled month here on the channel. I do have a very special surprise for you guys in the next video. So please do subscribe and stay tuned. I would love to have you stick around, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys! So today is a very exciting day because today is launch day of Cashmerette's new book. Okay, which was very exciting and very much So this book operates. Why can't I say operate? So today is a very exciting today. Today is a very exciting today. Bang on, Ashley. So today is a day.